Wayne, first of all, from a personal and from a team point of view, can you sum up the season for us?
Ups and downs, I think. I think there's been some good moments, some bad moments, and I think it's always, you haven't had the season you want when you've had 3 managers in a season. So, I think the start of the season didn't go great for us. Led to David Unsworth coming in, and then obviously Sam Alladyce coming in, and I think, with Sam coming in, he steadied it for us. He's got us into the top half of the table, and we're in an awkward position at the minute where we know we can't go much higher or we can't go much lower. So it's important we end the season well, try and get as many points out of these last 4 games, and hopefully we can do that.
Has that affected how you felt about being back at Everton? Are you happy here?
Yeah, of course. I think it hasn't affected it at all. I want to be here, I want to play for the club, and whether that's with Ronald Koeman, David Unsworth, Sam Alladyce, whoever, I want to play for this football club, and I understand that's part of football. You have ups and downs, it's normal. In the end, with Manchester United, I had different managers. We're not, no team is lucky enough to have a manager like Alex Ferguson for 25 years, and I think that's the way football is at the minute, unfortunately.
Obviously, a lot was made of your reaction to being substituted in the Merseyside derby, and that raised questions about your relationship with the manager. What would you say to that then?
Well, I'd say any Liverpoolian growing up as an Everton fan who gets substituted early on in a derby, I'm sure if you asked any of them, would they be happy coming off, and they'd say no. So, again, as I said before, I think it's me, it gets highlighted a lot more than it would with most other players, and unfortunately I feel that's the case, and there was no issue with me and the manager. There was no issue with me coming off. I respect the manager's decision, but there was frustration, of course, because you wanted to stay on.
Did you have to speak to the manager at all about that? Were there any words said between the pair of you? Yeah, I spoke to him, but really we spoke because of how it was getting built up. I think it was getting built up to be something it weren't, and we spoke really on how, we try and calm that down because there was no issue over it. He said to us last week that obviously at times this season you've made a massive impact, but also at times not consistently quite hitting your top form. Is that something that you would agree with? And if that's so, why has that been the case, do you think?
Did he not say that was as a team thing as well?
As a team thing as well, but also...
So you asked the question, so as if it was me, but he said as a team thing?
No, as a team thing, but also as an individual as well. We asked about your own form.
Yeah, no, of course, and it's difficult to obviously... And I think that's what the aim is, to do well individually, consistently, and also as a team. And there's games where you don't have the best game. I think that happens, and there's games where you have better games than you'd have the previous game. So it's about me trying to find that consistent level, and about the team trying to find that consistent level, and we're still working, and hopefully we can do that over these next 4 games. But
at times, of course, your role has changed this season as well, Wayne, hasn't it? I mean, that can't have been easy when you're moving about, even with some of your experience.
Yeah, no, that's not an excuse. I feel I'm more than capable enough to play them roles, so I'd never use that as an excuse for not playing well.
What is the best role, do you feel, at the moment?
It depends on how we set up as a team, how we want to play. I'd never sit here and say my best role is playing deep in midfield or high up in midfield or striker, because it depends on the instructions of the manager and how he wants us to play, and I'm sure he'll identify how he wants to play and where my best role is to play in there.
I wonder how you would sum up the atmosphere around the club at the moment, because from the outside it's taken a fair bit of criticism, notably this survey that has gone out to season ticket holders where it's asked the fans to rank the manager in marks out of 10. I mean, what have you made of that situation?
To be honest, it's not really something for me to get involved in. I think if that's what the club has done, then I'm sure they'll get their answers from them fans, and but that's not for me to talk about. I think I'll leave that. I'm sure you'll sit down at some point and speak to the manager, and you can ask him over.
What then would you say about the job that he's done since he's come in? I
think he's done the job which was asked of him. When when he took over, I think we were 17th in the league, and we're sitting here now in 9th position. So we was panicking a bit when he took over. There was talks of relegation, and he's obviously steadied that. We're in 9th position and could possibly finish 8th. So I think 7th would be a bit too far, and so he's done what the club have asked him to do, and so in my opinion he's done what he was asked of him. You mentioned earlier that you can't always get the kind of stability that you had at Manchester United with a manager like Sir Alex Ferguson as well, but when you look at this and we're going up to boardroom level, do you see, I suppose, a clear plan, a clear direction for Everton Football Club at the moment? Because that's what the fans are worried about, it seems. Yeah, well, I think the club have showed their intentions with the money they've spent in bringing players in the last couple of years. Obviously the new stadium is nearly not ready, but nearly getting underway, and I think the club has shown a clear plan in where they want to go. They're obviously, I'm guessing within 5 years, being a new stadium, and hopefully the team will be capable of playing in that stadium and trying to help us win trophies. Does there need to be patience between that when it comes to things on the pitch, because there's that hunger amongst the fan base, I suppose still amongst yourselves as well, for success? Yeah, I think the club's in, you know, I think it's always difficult when you, as I said before, when you change a manager, the manager likes to bring his ideas, so it will take time. I think you do need to be patient. It's going to be difficult to break into that top 6 if all them teams perform, and we'd have to have our best season we could have, and for one of them teams not to perform and to break into it. So there does have to be, it will be an element of time, which I think everyone has to understand, and I'm sure within that time frame of us moving into that new stadium, I'm sure we'll improve on what we're doing at the minute, and we'll be pushing higher up the table. You came back to deliver that first trophy since 1995. What do you feel it needs then for that to happen in the next 12 months or so? Yeah, I'll come back not to try and win it. I knew it was obviously going to be difficult in one season, but and be difficult even for me maybe to do it here, but it's trying to help the club lay foundations for the next generation, for the club to move forward. It's not about, you know, now, it's about the future of the club, and I think that's what we all want. We want the club to move forward, and whether that takes 2-4 years, 4 to 8 years, but as long as the club's shown improvements, then I think that's what we're all looking for. And Jordan Pickford is obviously one of the younger players, but also someone who's made a big impact this season with his form. What have you made of him, and just how ready, I suppose, is he to maybe take on the mantle of England's #1 going forward now? Well, he is England's #1, I think. He's the best keeper the country's got, I feel. And I think, you know, I'm sure the England manager has got a tough decision to make. He's got the experience of Joe Hart, and in my opinion, there's 2 keepers who could play, Joe Hart and Jordan Pickford, and I think unfortunately Joe hasn't played enough, so in my eyes he's #1. Has Jordan surprised you at all with his form, or what is it that stands out for you about I think him? He's a character. I think he's a good character around the dressing room. But I think at times this season he's saved us points, he's kept us in games, and you know, he's done his job. He's not afraid to open his mouth to senior players though either, which for someone so young you don't always see, do you? No, I think you need your keeper to talk. It gives everyone security, especially your back 4. You know, makes them feel safe that they've got someone behind them who is speaking to them. But no, I think he's performed really well for us this season, and you know, he's a great sign, and he'll be here for a long time, sure. Remember you being a younger player, being pretty vocal on the pitch as well, Wayne, going back. Yeah, but you need it. I think you need the young players to talk, and I think that's what we're trying to encourage. Don't be afraid to, you know, have a go or talk to the older players on the pitch. We all need to communicate better. What is it about Newcastle, by the way? 15 goals scored against them in your career. I don't know. I think I've just enjoyed playing against them. I think both home and away, I've enjoyed the games. I've obviously lost games against Newcastle also, but my goal scoring record against them is really good, so hopefully that'll continue on Monday.
What importance do you put on this one as well, I suppose, in terms of league positions, because they're catching Everton somewhat?
Yeah, I think it's important, but I think if we take the league position out of it, it's an important game for us in terms of what we want to do in the next 4 games. We want to try and end the season well. 4 wins, obviously we feel we're capable of winning each game, so that's the target for us. So it starts with Newcastle on Monday night.